Welcome everybody to Webinar Wednesdays. Thanks to District 40, we have been having this series published to YouTube. We just started the recording tonight. We are featuring John Humpert. He's a Pathways guide. He is a dual member at Voice of Independence, actually 3 clubs, or Voice of Independence and Triangle. And he helped us charter Pathfinders at District 40, which has to do with allowing online attendance. We have Larry, we have Brian, Russell, I believe, on the phone, and we just got joined by Sherry again. We're recording. This is going to be on the YouTube channel, and John right now is sharing his screen. So take it away, John. Thank you.
All right, thanks. So one of the first questions that I received, I see it in the chat, and I appreciate that, has to do with where do I get some information I can look at? All right, so some of us, we just enjoy reading. So what is a written guide? I'm going to go right, if you look in your chat, there's a link, and I'll share it with you. I'll go there right now. It's an excellent resource, really. And it's not from District 40. A lot of people get confused because 40 and 4 seem so similar, but District 40 turns to District 4 a lot for some information about pathways, and it makes sense because District 4 had pathways roll out to that district a lot sooner than we did. So this path that I'm showing right here, and it's in your comments, is a pretty good overview that gets things kind of on a postage stamp size presentation. All of the paths are listed here. You can browse paths by just clicking. I happen to be in Visionary Communications right now, so I have clicked here into this one before, and I've studied it. You'll notice Visionary Communications and all of the paths have 5 levels. So you see all of them covered right here. It's sort of an index card description for each level showing. Let me go to Presentation Mastery, and you'll see it really didn't even change. Same layout, 5 tabs. Level 1, watch this. Level 1 is not even really any different. Okay, so you just saw me switch from one to another. In fact, for all the paths, all 10 possible paths right now, level 1 covers the same, it includes the same projects. If you go to, let me just kind of start you off at D40. All you got to remember is d40tm.org. d40tm.org, go into education program, Toastmaster pathways, paths. There's also some more of a reading type of overview. And I've copied from this a lot. So it's sort of the Cliff Notes version that a lot of people, that's their style. They appreciate that short and sweet version. So you've got this pathways overview page that you see right here, and then the paths and projects page where I introduced you to diving down into some of the paths. Those of us that are so new at starting, you may be interested to know what the paths are. Maybe you've seen this. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it in case you have. But the 10 paths are dynamic leadership. In fact, there's 2 paths that have leadership in the name. The other one is leadership development, as you see right here. Let me go back up to the top. A lot of times that second word kind of helps you understand what the path is all about. So leadership, coaching, planning, not always. Motivational strategies, persuasive influence, presentation mastery. If you're of the mind, you're saying, I just want to do kind of plain vanilla Toastmasters, doing what I've always done, giving presentations, focusing on just that well-rounded basics, then presentation mastery is probably the path for you. Those of us that have that resonate already with one of these other topics, it's probably going to happen that you'll take the assessment and you'll find one of these appeals to you most. People have completed, they've gone through all 5 paths somewhere in the world, not so much in District 40 because it's so new to us. This particular PDF, I can share it with folks who would like. But to give you an idea of how what it looks like in depth in a path, take for instance dynamic leadership. Every path is going to have 5 levels, and you'll be known by your level. So let's say you have completed dynamic leadership, you've given your icebreaker, you've completed these 3 projects, so you've completed level 1. And Larry Logan, that's where you are right now. You've completed level 1.
Yes.
Yeah, which path are you in?
The dynamic leadership, the first one.
Okay, all right. So you wind up being a DL1 for short. All right.
Yes.
The DL for dynamic leadership and the 1 for having completed level 1. And when Larry is finished with all 5 of those, the way to properly introduce him before a presentation would be he is dynamic leadership proficient. Not DL5, but dynamic leadership proficient. Also, the way the levels work, from what I'm told, and you can confirm for me if you have your own experience with this, once you unlock a level, you can tackle the level and the projects within it any way you like. You don't have to go, once you're inside the level, you don't have to go in a prescribed role. You could, once you get into level 1, for instance, you could do research and presenting first. No, I'm take that back. Level 1, you must do the icebreaker first. Okay, but after you do the icebreaker, you could do research and presenting next. You don't have to do it last. Right? So so this particular website is great. There is a Facebook page also. I will open that, or I do have it open already. Where you can interact with Facebook friends and get advice the world over how to proceed. There's also, here's one that I found of an individual called, her name is Karen Story. She has her own pathways tutorial. So a lot of people in Toastmasters are taking ownership in their own special way. I will put these links in the chat also. Where'd my chat tool go? Oh, there it is. And Karen Story's website also there. Right. As far as getting into Pathways itself, I'm thinking everybody knows how to sign in to Toastmasters.org.
Yes.
And what's key right there is to be able to see your own name in the login. So when you click login right here, it replaces with your own name once you're in correctly. So you'll see welcome Larry or welcome Sherry. And you go to Pathways. Notice when I click here, something drops down. Believe it or not, a lot of people get stumped in that they're clicking Pathways right here and it doesn't open into anything. You must pick something below. And I'm going to go ahead and click this and see what happens for me. All right. So I'm presented this page right here to take my assessment. That is where you get started. Notice it looks like it's going to cost me $20 to go forward. So I'm not going to click the next button right here. And I could choose printed materials. That also has a cost right there. If you haven't heard much about Pathways, you need to realize that Pathways is pretty much geared for the online world. The print materials are available, but you can print so much in the online version. You can print it on your own device, your own printer, as many copies as you want. Printed materials might be for people that, for whatever reason, they don't deal with the online world. Printed materials is going to cost you more. There are fewer choices. There are fewer ways to interact with your club. But it is available. Okay, it's available in English only, whereby the online paths are available in various languages, as you see listed here at the top. Okay, if I click the button down here and purchased a path, I would be taken to the assessment. It begins to ask you questions. It would take me a moment to find the visual for that. Maybe I can do that. I think I can. Great. Okay. So here you would come to an assessment. You pick your language and you get started. It asks you questions such as 3 topics you're interested that interest you, and you go through and you take the quiz. At the end of the quiz, the programming will suggest for you a number 1 path, number 1 choice, and 2 alternates. However, you can disregard what is recommended and go with your choice of any of those 10 paths. So you may pick any one of these 10 right here. You may ask yourself, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this path. Well, in that case, I would send you back to the District 4 site to to kind of get your mind in, what is this path going where I want it to go? Let's say motivational strategies piques my interest. Well, then I can see where this is going to take me. Let's see what level 4 is in motivational strategies, for instance. Okay, I have, for instance, in motivational strategies, a level 4. The project is to motivate others. That's my requirement. And level 4, I'm going to choose at least one of these. So imagine you want to become a motivator of people. You want to become that dynamo that gets people to go from 0 to 100. So you would
John,
consider.
can I
Yes,
interrupt and ask a question?
yes.
On that you're showing us now, is that available offline or is that a online function only?
This is what I'm showing exactly is the screen right here. You can just go to this website, d4tm.org. You don't have to pay anything for it. It's open to all the world, all the to the public. As
The
far as
reason I'm asking, we have some of our clubs that there's no internet access while I'm there trying to help teach. And I
yes,
know at the District 40, I downloaded let me see what it's called here again. I downloaded their Pathway Project catalog, and it is a PDF with hot links that takes you very similar. So if you click on dynamic leadership, it shows you the front screen, then each of your projects, you can click on it and it jumps to that page. It's like 64 pages long.
yeah,
I have
good.
found that very helpful.
Okay, yeah. You found that on the D40
Yes.
Toastmasters site? Okay, good.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
just a PDF full of hot links.
okay, yeah. Yeah, if you're meeting in a place that has no Wi-Fi, no internet connectivity, um, it's going to be a challenge to get things set up, especially to demonstrate something. So you may want to consider sending folks to a session like this where they can go online from home. You may want to see if you can have one meeting at the public library where there might be a few computers available. I'm just thinking what could possibly work if you've got that constraint.
Well, I understand what you're saying. My big thing is at my club, I had to show them what Pathways is all about, how the different levels work, what you have to choose between the levels before they're even considering to go online to the international website and even sign up. They want to know, what is it?
Right.
Before I could hand them a manual, it's this. Well, that PDF I put on our free Toast host and people's clicking on it, and it has really helped, I think.
Right. Yeah. Have you got this navigator document also? Every club got one of these.
Yes, yes.
Right. So, so that will go a long way as well. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying. I mean, you're doing that, taking ownership and figuring out something. Does anybody else have another answer to chime in? I'm just going to flip through pages of a little bit of the okay. Before you start your journey, for instance, on the navigator. Right. Okay. So the navigator again presents the 10 projects on page 10 of all places.
Right while you're right there, just click on one of those. Okay, click on
This
any
is
one
not,
of.
yeah, this is not that interactive.
Oh, okay.
This document is not. In fact, this is just a PDF version uh, of the navigator. There is, however, there is an online navigator,
Okay.
and that's worth getting into. So
Okay.
pathways, we can learn more. I want to find where the navigator is. Okay, so as people log on, they can see all this and dive in a bit. All right. I'm not. Yeah. It doesn't have the navigator at this level. But when I go to my base camp, I see the navigator already. And when you launch that, then it is, it's designed to be highly interactive also. Let me put this in as a link. Maybe somebody can tell me whether that particular link works for you, just especially if you have no experience with pathways.
John, do you
Yes.
mind zooming in for the video? You can zoom in the browser.
Zoom in the browser. Okay.
Yeah, make it bigger. Got a lot of white space. Thank you. Perfect.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. So, and you see how to use the navigator. I myself have not spent a whole lot of time, but it becomes important for some people to understand just even the navigation, the buttons and the arrows. It takes a little bit. There's a little bit of a learning curve involved. Just kind of the way it is. You will access your path through Basecamp. So once you have your path, you would come into this middle pane, log in as a member. And I always kind of just fiddle around until I find what I'm looking for. But you'll see there's, for most members, there's going to be plenty as far as getting uh, your own needs taken care of. If you are president or VP education or secretary, then you will have the added role of being a base camp manager. Notice, kind of look, if you look at this right here, here is my view when I am just a normal member. If I go back out and come in, right now I'm in a club where I'm also a base camp manager. We'll see how that looks. Notice right here in my profile, it says I'm a Voice of Independence member. I want to go back out to where I can change my club. And I cannot do that within CSOD. I can't do that within this up here, Cornerstone on Demand. I need to leave
is on the top right, isn't that a settings? To the right, isn't that a settings gear? Nope. There.
Yeah, but it's not the control. Once you come into the way you come into Cornerstone, the CSOD up here that I'm referring to, you
Yep.
come in with a particular set of facts sort of set in stone.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go back out to pathways. I hope I'm still logged in. Yeah, yes, I'm still logged in. And go to Basecamp. And I'm going to change my club.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so dual members, we have to do this. We can only be in one club at a time. All right. Notice now I have two different ways to enter into the pathways environment, which is that CSOD. If I'm trying to help my fellow members get ahead, and I want to approve some of the work that they've done, then I want to go into pathways as a Basecamp manager. So it's not about me anymore when I go in as a Basecamp manager. And there's not a whole lot for me to do here except take care of pending requests. I don't have any. And view tutorials so I can learn what Basecamp Manager is about, and also to look at the progress of my members. In my own club, in this particular club, Triangle, there's just a little bit going on. So, you can see right now somebody's in presentation mastery based on this right here. There is a little bit of a hiccup that you will come across if you have dual members that are in more than one club, and if their identity is pointing to that other club, not yours, then you're not going to see them in here. Okay, so right now I can see I've got two people taking this path, leadership development, one in presentation mastery, one in visionary communications, that happens to be me, etc. So I can see the spread as far as which paths people are taking in my own club. So that winds up being for the president, for the VP education, and for the secretary. If you say, hey, John, well, none of those want to do this, but our sergeant at arms is all over it, I don't know of a way to help you. This sort of goes hand in hand with president, VP education, and secretary. Okay. Any other questions?
I don't know if you've seen my chat I just put. I was shocked that I could approve my level 1 for myself. And also I have found it does not automatically roll over to the Toastmasters website, because I had to have another officer then apply for my educational award on Toastmasters International for it to count towards our distinguished club. It does not roll over automatically.
Right. Yeah. So you're discovering, I'll just call them the rough edges of pathways. I think probably as Toastmasters is getting involved, it's probably an educational process at world headquarters as well. And as the system becomes more more mature, some of these rough edges will be more refined. The question about how you cannot submit your own award makes you were able to get yourself from one level to the next. That's a rough edge. All right. That probably should go away after Toastmasters has paid another huge fee to the company building pathways. But the fact that you have to apply for an education award makes perfect sense, especially when you're a member of more than one club. Okay. And
Yes.
so everybody gets treated across the board the same way. Toastmasters International leaves it up to you as to the timing of your award and which club, because you could be sitting there, Larry, and you may have a plan to go to another club for whatever reason. And so it's really under your control when that education award gets submitted. And that's probably not going to change. It's going to be the same for the traditional program and for pathways. You control when that application is submitted, and then your fellow club officer submits it for you. That
Yes,
help?
and I agree with that 100% because of exactly what you said. I was shocked that it didn't roll over, but that shock was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Now, Larry, I have a question. You said that you yourself are a base camp manager, vice president of education. Were you in as the base camp manager when that happened, or were you there as a member?
Ask the question again.
Were you logged in like John just showed us? Were you logged in as the base camp manager, as the BPE, or were you logged in as you? Because obviously, again, this is 3 or 4 websites that we're talking about, including Central. So when you did this, was it something that you were logged in as a base camp manager or just you?
When I approved my level of completion, I was signed in as the base camp manager. I don't remember how I did it, but it was very intuitive. It was the first thing on Pathways that I thought was intuitive, but I was a base camp manager in doing so.
Yeah.
Right.
See, and perhaps we have been they talk about use cases. John talks about the rough edges. This is a new use case. This is 2 or 3 apps. It's why we're here, is to figure out these things and maybe bring it up, or one of us is going to stumble exactly into what you said, that now in order to work around, that's a favorite word in IT, with okay, I'm the base camp manager, I approve my own level, but you're actually not going to get it, as I heard it, until somebody else submits it to Central. Is that what I heard?
Correct.
Yes, you have to still have another officer apply for your educational award, just like you did your CC and CL, and they submit it, and then it shows up obviously as a credit towards your distinguished club award.
Right.
But right there, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go a little bit into tech talk, if you will. As John has been explaining, Pathways is built on an application, if you will. It don't matter right now. But then you have to have these bridges, these connectors, these integrations to Club Central, where we have all the other buckets. Everybody talks about buckets in IT. I don't know why, but you have all the other buckets of information. And me personally, it's the getting used to, and somebody was asking, is there something printed? I would say I prefer this hour with John and you and Brian, because we simplify, we summarize, and you're telling us a story that we can relate to, and go, so who am I really? Am I the base camp manager? Do I need to collaborate with my other officers to get the approval? And I don't know about most of you, but this is how half of us end up spending our work days. We pull a lever here, somebody has to pull a lever somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
could answer your question why they say in this bucket and that bucket. That's because IT people are so full of it, they carry it around in buckets.
There we go. You heard it here. You learned it here first. All right. Right. So just back to this screen, we've got about 10 more minutes before we wrap up. I mean, I've got more time, but to respect anyone's scheduled time, if you are president, if you're VP education, if you're secretary, you're going to have two buttons here. The first one, log in as member, it's going to be all about you. Basecamp manager, it's going to be all about taking care of, as Larry points out, yourself and other people as far as their progress. Yeah, I want to reiterate again, Basecamp manager, let's say your club has 3 dual members, and all of the dual members, they belong to Club XYZ also, in addition to your own Club ABC. Well, if their pathways is currently pointing out to Club XYZ, you will not see them. Okay, even if they said, hey, Larry, I finished level 1. Can you look at my pending request and approve my pending request? Well, if their home camp is pointing out to Club XYZ, not your club, you're not going to see their request. So that's another rough edge that could cause some stumbles between now and then. The best way for your club to avoid all those is tell those dual members to make up their mind and just be a member of your club, or I'm just kidding. We love our dual members. Okay. I think I covered lots of this stuff. Pop-up blockers. My advice to you, pop-up blockers, is you can get your browser to specifically open this CSOD.com site. CSOD stands for Cornerstone On Demand, and Cornerstone On Demand is the company that's providing us pathways. They are building it for Toastmasters because Toastmasters is a one-of-a-kind organization, so this is all custom developed for Toastmasters, and it comes from Cornerstone On Demand. So that's the domain that you want your pop-up blocker to be cool about. All right. And I can't go into detail really in a useful way, except that it's somewhere here in your settings where you can allow, usually you'll see an icon maybe right here that there's an issue with a pop-up blocker. You click on this and your browser will take you to some more instructions specific to your to your browser. This is a nice Toastmaster Facebook page. You have to ask if you want to join it. I think I shared it in the chat already, but I'll share it one more time.
And again, I will send the link to the YouTube and everything you've sent us, John. I'll send it to Michael Pope, the webmaster. I don't know if you have seen, we have a page with these videos from the last few months, and hopefully next year. I think this is a great example of what Webinar Wednesdays can be, because we got, you could say, a great match with it between people who have had the experience and some of us that are seeking the knowledge. The other week we had a social media one that was amazing, and I think this one on Pathways is what Webinar Wednesdays is about. So thank you, John.
All right, thank you. Please interrupt if you've got a question. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of march forward with some some exhibits that I developed based on some other things I've seen. If you joined Toastmasters after February 13th of this year, Pathways is all you got. So I want to assume that all of our clubs have grown since February. So we have at least one new member. Pathways is the only thing that's available to them. If you want to give a new member, your newest member, a CC manual, pages that you photocopied, well, they can work through it, but Toastmasters International will never recognize it. Just want to be clear about that. Do you have to pay for Pathways? Well, you get one path free. That's the right answer for most of us. If you joined after February 13th, you pay that $20 new member fee like you've always done, but you won't get manuals. You'll get your first path. What if I don't like my path and it's only been 30 days, within 30 days? You can ask Toastmasters International to swap. You can do this one time per year, per Toastmaster year. So if you just got a path at the start of this month, you are within that time frame. If you're rethinking that you want a different path, call World Headquarters or email Toastmasters.org at this email address. So supply orders at Toastmasters.org. Give them your member ID and which new path you would like. They may not fulfill the request in 5 minutes, but they will fulfill it and they will honor that changeover if it's within the first 30 days. Okay. Fast forward to some things. The potential issues, if your menu won't work, as you saw on Toastmasters websites, sometimes you need to click lower, like this check compatibility thing, for instance. Don't just click check compatibility. Go down below and click that in order for the compatibility check to be displayed. This can help people as well to see what if their system is going to be up to snuff. And I'd say if you bought my computer itself is 9 years old. It was not the cheapest at the time, but it's still it works. If your computer is 15 years old, I would say maybe it's not going to work.
Yes, your computer is working fine. It shows you as a 25-year-old with dark hair.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I guess I'll have to buy the license for that particular software. It's proving its value. I did some diving into, and there's some interesting wrinkles about Pathways. So there's going to be plenty of things for us to chat about in future. Feel free to join in one of those short sessions that are coming up in the next 10 days. I'll put up that email again. Oh, I've got some interesting other tidbit to share. Does anybody want me to forward this particular schedule? If you do, put your email in the chat if you don't mind. And then after we sign off, I will forward this listing to you. And then you have any of these days, from Friday to Saturday, June 30th, I'll be offering 2 sessions. If nobody shows up within 10 minutes, then I'm checking out. But you don't have to give advance notice, but it's appreciated. And I was going to share one more neat thing that I just discovered. this. All right, some of us like those big charts that Toastmasters provides. This is now available as a download. How you're going to print it large format is your challenge, but it gives you a chance to have a wall chart for your own club, for its own display of pride purposes. And that just came out. It's not available from official channels. You have to, I got this from that Facebook page. So I got it from this right here, and it just came out 11 hours ago. Any other questions?
There's one in the chat.
Great.
At 9:21.
Okay. All right, what new members will receive? Sherry, new members will receive an email. So they'll have that confirmation that the treasurer and the VP membership did the right thing in taking the application, submitting it to World Headquarters. That new member will receive an email. It will have a link in it. What exactly that email looks like, I'm not sure, but it would be from Toastmasters.org. That would be the domain. They should receive a link that would take them probably into probably to the it's going to take them to the Toastmasters homepage first for them to sign in. If a member has a difficulty in signing in, you as a club leader, if you're a club officer, you can come into Club Central and you can visit your club roster and you can update your fellow members' email addresses. I'd go in here, but then I'd be sharing my club private information with the world. But you can go in the club roster, and as an officer, you can change their email address for them, whatever they want it to be. They need to pick one primary email address and use that for their login. Once they log in, probably that link. Oh, and by the way, whatever email address they gave on their application, that's where they're going to receive their welcome. And it's probably going to take them to one of those first take the assessment. It's probably going to go there. And from there, they take
that's where you end up, John. That's where you end up at it. You know, as we approach the rollout, it was about getting to Club Central, do that check that you showed us before, and essentially walks you through taking the assessment and going into base camp. After that, you're in here, you're in Pathways, you're in Cornerstone. So.
All right, very good. Yeah. So yeah, we've got 2 more minutes. Is there another question?
I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate your time. Yes, thank you.
And stay in touch.
Yeah, thank you, John, for the short notice. Brian and Larry and Sherry for being here. Again, anybody else do you think that needs this within a couple of days? This would be on the District 40 website. Sometimes we even post it on the Facebook page. So thank you for attending tonight.
Right, and we're going to switch off the recording, I suppose, but I'll hang around in case somebody does have a last-minute question.
Okay.
We're good.